series. In this video we will cover a quick overview of how MRP functions from sales order, purchasing, receiving, issuing parts to manufacturing, receiving finished assemblies back from manufacturing, invoicing, and the resulting accounting transactions. Let's take a look at our flow chart. For this example, let's imagine we are manufacturing wheels. Each wheel consists of one bearing and 40 spokes. Now let's say a customer calls and places an order for 10 wheels with your company. Your customer would send you a PO and your salesman would enter a sales order for 10 wheels. This would increase demand for wheels by 10. The next day or so, a user in operations will generate an MRP. Generating an MRP will examine all the open sales orders and their dates required, all the on-hand quantities, all the shortages in WIP, all the open POs and their dates required, every part's minimum stocking levels, every part's attrition level and setup quantity, if any, every part's effective dates, if any, scheduled holidays and weekends. It will then create buy, issue, make and sale action items based on each sales order due date. It will examine the lead times for each part and assembly and create a master schedule. Manufacturing and purchasing can then print or display buy, issue, and make action item reports to determine what they must do to deliver all the sales orders on time. Purchasing would use the infinite buckets by report to enter purchase orders. Entering a purchase order increases the on-order quantity of the component parts being ordered. When the parts are received, the quantity on-hand quantity is increased and the quantity on order is decreased. When the stockroom issues parts to manufacturing, the quantity on hand is decreased and the quantity in WIP is increased. When the stockroom receives the finished assemblies back from manufacturing, the quantity in WIP is decreases and the quantity on hand of the finished assemblies is increased. When the sales order is invoiced, the on-hand and on-demand quantities of the finished assemblies are decreased. So that is a good overview of how MRP's integrated modules allow you to schedule and run your manufacturing operations. So let me kill the flow chart. And let's open MRP and actually run this example from start to finish and include the related accounting transactions. Let's start by entering a customer sales order for 10 wheel assemblies. I will select Modules, Sales Order, and New. If you have the wheels in stock, you could select on account and carry or cash and carry. Select on account for net 30 or 45 and cash if the customer is paying today by check, cash, or credit card. I need to build the wheels, so I'm going to select Order Entry. That will create just the sales order. Once the assemblies are built, I will be able to invoice the sales order. I can select taxable or one of the non-taxable choices such as resale, service, out of state, or exempt. I will select resale. For terms I could select net 30, Visa, MasterCard, cash. I will select net 30. For ship via I could select bill of lading, DHL, FedEx, or UPS. I will select UPS. For FOB, I could select destination or origin. I will select destination. If I were to leave these fields blank, the customer settings are automatically inserted into the sales order from the customer's address record. I will press the OK button. I will enter ABC as the customer's name. And press Enter. And press OK to select ABC Manufacturing. The red terms entry warns me that ABC Manufacturing's default terms are normally 2% 10. I can live with 2% 10. So I will leave it. I will enter the customer's PO number 777. I could enter a part of the part number or description. I am going to enter part of the description WH and press the Enter key. I will accept the wheel assembly and press the OK button. I will then change the quantity to 10. Notice that when I changed the quantity, the sales price changed from $2,000 to $1,800. That is the sales price quantity break set for that inventory part number. I will enter $5 for freight. And I will use the calendar to set the date required to 1 month from now. If I press on the Accounting tab, I can see a breakdown of my cost of goods sold, including inside labor costs, overhead costs, outside labor costs, component cost, and total cost of goods sold. If I wanted to add another line item to this sales order, I could click on the Add Item button. Since the customer's purchase order had just one line item for 10 wheels, I will keep it simple and not add another line item. I will press the Items and Notes button. This allows me to look at all my line items and this sales order's totals. The sales order boilerplate at the bottom of the sales order can be set using Setting and Utilities option 22. I could add additional information into the sales order boilerplate field. I will press OK to return to the sales order data entry screen. Since I am finished with this sales order, I will press the Finish button and the OK button, and Yes to print this sales order. I will click on Yes to print or display the sales order. I can send the sales order to display, print, PDF or email as PDF file. Email as PDF requires a local copy of Outlook. I will select Display. I will select the custom sales template because it contains my company logo, and press the OK button. Here you can see we have added a company logo to our custom sales order. If I wanted to print out the sales order from this screen, I would select one of the two printer options above. But, I am going to hit the red X box and exit out. No, I do not want to print out a shipper. And I do not want to enter another sales order. Once you have added this and other sales orders to your existing open sales orders, you would generate an MRP. Generating an MRP creates an action database file. PC MRP uses the action database file to generate your manufacturing schedule. These schedules will tell operations when to purchase parts, when to issue parts, when to build assemblies, when to ship the assemblies, and any additional parts. So let's get started. To generate an MRP, I would select Optional, Infinite Bucket and generate action items. You could select any number of areas that the parts will be issued from. I will select just the store's area as the area the parts are to be issued from to manufacturing. I will select Open Sales Orders and Open Work Orders to drive our demand. Work orders that are checked as consumable are used to fill open sales orders provided that the work order's date required is earlier than the sales order's date required. I will not select to include open sales quotes with probability percentages. I will include preliminary BOMs and floor stock. I will select, pick the vendors with the best price. For this exercise, I will not include inside labor requirements and minimum quantities. None of my BOMs are classified as blow-through, so it does not matter what I select for blow-through BOMs. Well, that does it, so I will press the OK button. No errors were recorded, so I will hit the OK button. We are now ready to display and/or print our MRP reports. To generate a graphical timeline report, I would select Optional, Infinite Bucket, and MRP Timeline. I will select the sales order that I am interested in. Sales order 000102. Line item 0001. Adjust the size to 16%. Notice the timeline at the top of the chart. I have a PO coming in for 3 rear axles. I need to buy 2 more rear axles, 20 more bearings. Scrolling down to the bottom of the chart. Then I have to issue 20 bearings and 800 spokes. Then I have to make the wheel sub-assemblies. Then issue the 10 rear axles, which are purchased parts. Then make the rear axles. Finally ship the rear axle assemblies. I could print this report by clicking on the print icon. But, it would be more practical to print a text report than a graphical report. So I will exit this graphical report by clicking on the X button at the top of the report. Let's look at a standard displayed or printed report. I will select Optional, Infinite Bucket, and Print Action Item Reports. I will select all action items. Check all the includes. I will not check Consolidate. I will select all dates for date range. I will select Sort by part number. You could select Display, Print, PDF, or Excel. I will select Display, and click the OK button. I will expand the report to full screen. Here we can see that our bearing 0000001 has an on-hand quantity of 1. That bearing is going to be sold to sales order 000103, bringing the running total down to 0. The next line shows a pre-existing PO for 2 bearings will arrive, bringing the running total back up to 2. As you can see, there are a number of buy and issue action items for this bearing. Looking down at the spoke, you can see we have more than enough on hand to meet our needs. I can exit out of this report by clicking on the X box at the top of the screen. For a simple buy report, I can uncheck all of my included action items except the buy action items. I will leave everything else the same and press the OK button. I will expand the report to full screen. Here we can see a simple buy report showing we need to buy 31 bearings and 2 rear axles. I can exit out of this report by clicking on the X box at the top of the screen. After your buyers look at the buy report, they can use PCMRP to create purchase orders or allow the Infinite Bucket module to automatically create the purchase orders. Let's use PCMRP to manually create a purchase order for those 31 bearings. To enter a new purchase order, you can select Modules, Purchase, and New. I will enter the quantity first. I will enter 31 as per the MRP buy report. This will allow PCMRP to highlight the vendor with the best price for that quantity. Next, I will press the Enter key on my keyboard. Now I can type in the first couple of characters of the part's description, BE, for bearing, and hit the Enter key. You could have entered the first couple of characters of the part number, manufacturer, or model number, and PCMRP would display the correct part number as well. I will select the bearing and press the OK button. PCMRP now displays the approved vendors list for this part. It has highlighted the vendor with the best price for a quantity of 31. I can select any vendor on the list, but I will stay with DG key and press the OK key. Since all my information is automatically inserted from the address and inventory modules, you just need to enter the date required and press the Finished button. I will press the Yes button to print the purchase order. You can select Display, Print, PDF, or Email as PDF. I will select Display. I will select the custom purchase order that contains our company logo, and press the OK button. Here you can see I have added our logo to our custom PO form. Custom form templates can be created by using Configuration, Settings, and Utilities, option 24. You can print this purchase order by selecting Print here or here. I will exit this screen and return to PCMRP's main menu by clicking on the X box at the top of the screen. Now that we have placed our purchase order, we will go over using the Receiving module to receive the purchase order. Users on the receiving dock can receive the PO by doing the following. You can receive the PO by selecting Modules, Receive, and New. Select the PO and press the OK button. You can receive the parts into any store's area such as inspection or QC. I will select stores as the area. I will select the line items I am receiving. In this case, there is just one line item. Had there been additional line items, PCMRP would have listed all the line items and I could select several line items or all the line items. You can change the quantity, cost, tax, freight, and discount. I will press the Next button to open the actual receiving record. PCMRP gives me the next available receiver number and I will press the OK button. Since all of the information is automatically inserted from the PO, you can receive the entire quantity of 31 or receive a partial quantity. In this case, I will receive all 31 and hit the OK key. You can print out the receiver and send the receiver and packing list to accounting. In this case, I will display the receiver. I will exit the receiver by clicking on the X at the top of the screen. I do not want to enter another receiver, so I will return to the main menu. Days later, when accounting receives the vendor's invoice, the accountant will edit the receiver and compare the vendor's invoice to the receiver. If everything is okay, the accountant will enter the vendor's invoice number and save the receiver. So let's pretend we are the accountant and edit the receiver by selecting Modules, Receive, Edit. Select the receiver and press the OK button. The accountant will enter the vendor's invoice number 1234 and see that the vendor charged us $10 for freight. So she will enter the $10 for the freight. The receiver is now ready to be posted. So the accountant will press the OK key. Now that the accountant has entered the vendor's invoice number into the receiver, she can now post the receiver in PCMRP's accounting module by selecting Modules, Accounting. Batch post invoices. But I am going to post it by selecting Accounting. GL transactions. New transactions. Register accounts payable invoice. And press the OK key. Select the receiver. Press the OK key. Please notice. The vendor invoice number is filled in from the receiver. The freight account and inventory account will be debited. And if I press on the credit tab, the accounts payable account will be credited. I will press the Save button to save this accounting transaction. I will press the Cancel button to return to the main menu. If accounting is using QuickBooks Desktop Pro, Premier, or Enterprise, the accountant would have selected Optional, QuickBooks, Export Receiver Records. Let's get back to the operations side. Now that we have received our parts, the next step would be to use the Stockroom module to issue the sales order to manufacturing. To issue a parts and/or sub-assemblies from the stockroom to manufacturing for a sales or work order, I would select Modules. Stockroom. New. I will select Issue Parts to Manufacturing. And press the OK button. I will press the scroll button and select Sales Order 105. I will check the Issue checkbox for Sales Order 105, Line Item 1. I will select the main stores area as the warehouse to issue the parts from. I will select Assemblies, if available, then Component Parts. I will check Issue Parts automatically. This will allow PCMRP to automatically issue parts to the manufacturing floor and only stop if there were a shortage. I will not select to include attrition and set up quantities. You could select Sort by location. But I will sort by BOM order. You could send the pick list to display, print, PDF, Excel. I will select to send the report to display. I will select the standard report. I will press the OK button to display my pick list. PCMRP now displays my pick list. It displays the part numbers, the quantity on hand before, the quantity issued and the new quantity on hand. You can print out the pick list by clicking on the printer icon or the word printer at the top of the screen. I will get back to the main menu by clicking on the X at the top of the screen. Now that we have issued the parts to the sales order, after a day or so, manufacturing will have assembled parts and sub-assemblies. You can now use the Stockroom module to receive back completed assemblies for that sales order. To receive back completed assemblies from manufacturing, I would select Modules. Stockroom. New. And Receive back from manufacturing. I will press the scroll button. And select Sales Order 105. You can receive back all 10 or a partial quantity. You can enter the number of hours required to build these wheels. I will return all 10 of the completed assemblies to my stores area. And press the OK button. PCMRP informs me the return from WIP is complete. So I will press the OK button to return to my main menu. All that is left is to invoice and ship the wheels to the customer. To invoice the wheels on the sales order, I will select Modules. Invoice. And New. I will scroll and select Sales Order 105. I will get the 10 wheels from stores. You could select Cash or Account. I will select Account. If there were more than one unpaid line items on this sales order, the unpaid line items would be displayed. You could check any or all of the line items on the sales order. I will check the checkbox for line item 1. And press the Next button to display the invoice data entry screen. If I press the Accounting tab, you can see PCMRP has gathered the current costs for accounting. If I click back on the Customer tab, and click on the Item and Notes button, you can see all of the line items and the totals. And I can enter boilerplate notes to appear at the bottom of the invoice. I will click on the OK button to get back to my main invoice screen. I can invoice the entire 10 or I can invoice a partial amount by changing the quantity. I am going to invoice the entire 10. When I press the OK button, PCMRP will decrement the on-hand and the on-demand quantity of the wheels. It will also increment the quantity shipped in the sales order. If the quantity shipped is now equal to or greater than the quantity ordered, PCMRP will insert a capital Y in the sales order complete field. So let's press the OK button to print out my invoice. For now I will just select Invoice and press the OK button. You can select Display, Print, PDF, Email as PDF. I will select Display. An interesting side note. If you use PCMRP's integration with global payments and the customer would like to pay by credit card or ACH, you can check the Send Online Payment request to your customer. Your customer will fill out their credit card or bank information and submit their payment. If the payment is accepted, your company would receive an email informing you that the payment was accepted. None of your employees would see your customer's credit card or ACH information. This option allows your company to be 100% PCI compliant and reduces the risk of your company being held liable for a data breach. I will select my custom invoice template. If I were shipping internationally, I could select commercial invoice. But I am shipping to a firm located within my country, so I will select domestic invoice and press the OK button. As you can see, the invoice has my company logo, and the 2% 10 net 30 terms has carried forward. If auto accounting is on, PCMRP would have automatically posted the invoice. But perhaps sales was entering the invoice and accounting and auto accounting was off. So I will work my way back to the main menu and allow accounting to post this invoice. The accountant can post this invoice by selecting Modules, Accounting, General Ledger Transactions, New Transaction, Register Accounts Receivable Invoice, and press OK. I will select my invoice and press the OK key. Notice PCMRP has automatically debited accounts receivable and cost of goods sold. If I press the Credit tab, I will see it has automatically credited business income, freight income, inventory, and inside labor, which was included in the cost of goods sold and had to be removed to prevent double dipping if you include inside labor in your bills of materials. I will press the Save button to save this transaction. I will press the Cancel button to get back to my main menu. When the accountant receives the customer's check, the accountant would select Modules, Accounting, Receive Customer Payments, Check and EFT Payments. EFT Payments stands for Electronic Funds Transfer Payments. Scroll and select my customer. I will enter ABC and press the Search button. Select ABC Manufacturing and press the OK button. Enter the amount received, $16,000, and enter the customer's check number, 999, and click on the Pay checkbox to receive this customer's payment. Yikes, they took the 2% 10 discount. I will click on the Edit button. PCMRP automatically selected your default sales discount account, so I will press the Apply Discount button. I am going to check the Print Summary Report checkbox and click on the OK button. PCMRP displays the accounting transaction record. I will click on the X box at the top of the screen to get back to my main menu, and click on OK, and click on Exit. Now the only steps left is for the accountant to pay the vendor for the bearings we purchased a little earlier in this demo. The accountant can select Modules, Accounting, Pay Bills, and then select Pay Bills. I am going to select bills over 0 days old. Of course we need to check Include Posted Bills Only, which means the receiver has been posted and accounts payable has been credited. PCMRP will automatically insert your default bank account chart of accounts number. You could select another bank account if you had more than one bank account. I will press the OK key. This is a demo copy of PCMRP, and I have never closed a month in this copy of PCMRP, so I need to load some money into my bank account. So I will press the Manually Enter button, and I will put in $10,000, and press the OK button. PCMRP will list all outstanding unpaid receivers sorted by vendor. PCMRP will insert the next check number. However, you could manually insert the next check number, and I will load that check into my printer. If I am going to pay more than one vendor, I would load additional checks into the printer. Next, I will select the receivers I wish to pay. I could enter a different amount to pay. If I wanted to edit the amount I want to pay, I would check the Edit checkbox. I would normally select Output to print the check. But in this case I will select Output to display. I will also check the Show the Print Check dialog window. And press the OK button. It is noticing this copy has been set up to work with QuickBooks. So I will just press the Yes button. I still want to continue. This is PCMRP's check printing screen. But rather than print I will select Display. If I checked the Print a Remittance List checkbox, it would print a remittance list. I will press the OK button. I will scroll down the check. The top third is a stub. The middle third is the check. The bottom third is the second stub. Please note PCMRP can also be configured to print check, stub. I will leave this screen by clicking on the X box at the top of the screen. I will select No, I do not want to print out a remittance list for the payment run. And return to the main menu. So there you have it. We have used PCMRP to track and build a sales order from cradle to grave with PCMRP. PCMRP can easily handle both your manufacturing and accounting operations. All this and PCMRP comes with lifetime licenses and not leasing licenses. Which means your BOMs, accounts receivable, serial lot numbers and more can never be turned off by another company. If you have any further questions or would like a live remote and demo, please give us a call at 408-226-7321. Thank you.